and welcome, you amazing Earthlings. What the heck? Let me fix that. I want to say hi to everyone in the live chat. Case for Infinity, good to see you. Less Sweet, Curious George, thank you for moderating for today. Aura, how are you doing? Systems Failure 3, hi from London. What is up? Sorry, my mic is being a little dumb today. Hi from London. Nice. John, it is so good to see all of you in the live chat. Oh, John, Miss Dr. John D. Hello and welcome. Mary, Mrs. C. Tim, oh my gosh, all of you. I want to say hi to every single one of you. So welcome to another episode of Mysteries with a History, where I'll take you on a wild ride into the unknown, the strange, and the mysterious. Like you, I have questions. And like you, I want answers. So today we will be wrapping up this small series of videos up by looking at what is most probably one of the more controversial aspects of the possible alien visitor scenario, and that's the human-looking aliens. Sorry. Types of beings that look identical to us, or at least somewhat similar. There have been several arguments that often get raised for and against such alien visitors, with the critical camp saying that there's no way an identical species could evolve, and the pro camp saying that many of these entities say that they are our family or our creators. And that's a rather big statement. For today's show, I have to bring in my extra special co-host for today, Mr. Jimmy Church. How you doing, Jimmy?
Is this thing on?
It's on.
Is this on?
Yeah, it's on. You're looking good. You sound good.
What's cracking, Cristina? How you doing?
Ah, man, I'll be honest with you. I could be better, but I love doing this. And with you by my side, it's gonna rock.
What do you mean it could be better?
Hey, let me just put it this way. It's been a really rough 30 hours. So.
What? Why?
No. We're not going to go into it. We're talking about aliens today, Jimmy. Talking about aliens.
I want the inside poop. I want to know. I want to know what's going on.
All right. Oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on with my mic today. It's just being a butt. So, pretty much. No. I won't tell you. No, let's go into this. So.
Okay. All right.
Let's go into this.
A nice deflection. Nice deflection. Okay. Well, this is part 3.
Part 3 and the finale. We are wrapping this up today. This is the last thing we're going to be covering, and it's going more into the more human-like races. One of them being the Nordic aliens. And we've heard of these, right? So the Nordics apparently look just like us, right? They have long blonde hair and are finely toned in their physique like athletes. I mean, like, honestly, goals on that part. And they're almost always observed by abductees or contactees as being pale-skinned with deep-set eyes. And I don't know, the deep-set eyes I find a really interesting way that they put it. Like, out of all of the characteristics of these Nordics, they always point out how beautiful their eyes are. Do you think they're being hypnotized by their eyes? This is speculation.
Personally, my favorite race of beings.
Oh, why is that?
Well, I mean, because I just think that I could hang out. I could relate. We could communicate. I wouldn't freak out. I would be comfortable. And with all of the descriptions, and we're going to get into this a little bit deeper, but with all of the descriptions that have been put out there, one of the things that I think is mentioned most often is they were pretty cool, right? That they were here to assist us and to hang out. And that's, there isn't a negative connotation around the Nordics, at least not in a general sense.
Well, it seems like for a lot of these more humanoid looking species, a lot of them do not have negative connotations attached to them. And we're going to go over that a little bit. But starting off with the Nordics, you're definitely right. They seem, they're a very, seems like a very peace loving type of alien. And that people have also said that when they encounter these beings, these contactees or experiencers, they say that they sense like unconditional love from them.
The one thing that people don't, mention outright, easy on the eyes, right? Easy on the eyes, good looking couple, like what you have, let's just cut to the chase. I'm being, and nobody really wants to, it's like the elephant in the room. Look,
Exactly.
Easy on the eyes, good looking,
we can relate to them.
Well, physique, and that's pretty cool. Now there's some more history here, though. If we look, these aren't necessarily modern, like recent things, revelations.
Right.
If we go back into history, and for everybody in the chat, I don't have a way to reply to everybody in the chat. I haven't figured that out yet, believe it or not, as many times as I've been on the show with Cristina, but hello to everybody. is if we go back to the original two Georges, and I'm speaking about George Van Tassel and George Adamski, and we take George Van Tassel's original account, which happened out near Joshua Tree, near Palm Springs, eastern Los Angeles, out on the 10 freeway, where he was working for Northrop, I believe it was Northrop or McDonnell Douglas, and then moved out to that area, found this patch of land, decided to build an airstrip. So he builds this airstrip, and it's now known today as Giant Rock, because the biggest rock in the world is there, and it's a pretty cool place to go and visit. And if you haven't visited, that is an absolute necessity, because it's huge. But anyway, so he's, and underneath this rock, he builds a little restaurant and in an apartment, and his wife would make these very famous pies. And so people would fly out and visit and hang out and eat these pies. But one night, George is sleeping underneath Giant Rock in this apartment that he dug out in the dirt, and heard something. He goes outside, and right there on his airstrip is this spaceship, this flying saucer. And ends up meeting what he said were people from Venus, and he gives this description, and it's a Nordic. And he goes on the ship, he flies, they take him around, they land it, and he becomes friends. And there's a couple of really good sensational photographs of one of the crafts above Giant Rock. Out there, he started, this is way before Contact in the Desert, in the 1950s and 60s, he started this UFO conference out there, and 10,000, 15,000 people would show up once a year. It was absolutely massive. And George Van Tassel went out on speaking tours. The recordings of his encounters are out there, and his presentations that he gave, and he welcomed everybody, and he would answer questions. And he built the Integratron out there with instructions from these people from Venus. And that's still there next to Giant Rock, also incredible. And these conventions out there lasted until, this is like Contact in the Desert, until the early 1970s.
Wow.
His description was also very close to George Adamski and who he was having his encounters with. And so it makes you wonder where all of these connections going back, we're talking about 70 years with George Van Tassel and George Adamski, and who they were meeting with, where this information was coming from. And it lines up all the way through to today. And I have been fascinated with this. This also goes back to Charles Hall and his books, Walking with Tall Whites, I think is the book series. And his encounters happened out in Las Vegas. And he was in the Air Force. He was stationed at Nellis. And his job was in weather reporting.
So like a meteorologist?
Yeah, but more, I don't think he was technically a meteorologist, but he was trained to go out to this weather station, and you have a hotline, a phone, and you're looking out the windows and you're looking at the weather and you're calling it back in to the Air Force Base. Basically, that was his gig. But one day he was out walking where this weather station is, and it's a shack. It's a wooden shack. And you can look at photos online. But anyway, he's out walking around and he sees like a tall white family. That's what he thinks. Some kids. And it turned out, and his descriptions are very close, if not the same, as the other descriptions of the Nordics and the tall whites and the dressed in white and the blonde hair. And they were teaching. These were teachers teaching these children out in the desert. And this went on for a very, very long time. And it's a great series of books. But that was a completely separate encounter from George Adamski and again from George Van Tassel. So the history is certainly there. It's been documented. The Nordics and the tall whites, I think, are walking among us.
And while we're on that, also in his lecture, the abductee Travis Walton said he encountered a Nordic type humanoids, but you just had him on your show recently. And did he ever mention that with you, that he encountered not only grays, but kind of more humanoid type aliens?
Yes. One of the first shows that I did with Travis where we went, this was many years ago, but we went step by step through the encounter, and it was that part of what was going on the ship that I found most interesting, because there were three different types of species, beings, whatever you want to call them. But the male and the female came in, and they had tight-fitting suits. I think they were dressed in blue and red, if I remember correctly. They weren't in white. But one of the things that I asked him about the female, who he said was pretty attractive, I asked him if she had makeup on, right? And he said, "Jimmy, never had that question before, but I don't remember any makeup." And the reason why I was asking that is because we know as humans, and certainly men, right? When you see a woman, you take note of a few things. You just do. You
just do. Yes.
And I was just wondering, does E.T. wear makeup? And he didn't remember makeup, so I guess the answer was no. But yeah, we talked quite a bit about this, and you and I on the last show, where we were talking about DNA and chemistry and what makes us us. Well, I just think that we are a perfect design. Could we be placed here? Could we be related to the Nordics? Could we not only look like them, but maybe we are them? Because I got a pretty interesting side note for all of this.
Okay.
The blonde part, in that we just showed up here 200,000 years ago. That's science. That's fact. That's history. Homo sapien sapien. Cristina, you and I, as we know each other, just showed up here 200,000 years ago. How did we just appear here? Were we placed here? I don't know. But the facts are, before 200,000 years ago, there was no us. And we don't have anything in the fossil record showing us evolving into us. We just appeared. Well, could we have been placed here? Yeah, it's a strong possibility. Now, it was reported in a scientific journal yesterday. I didn't get a chance to talk about this last night on Fade to Black, but the first blonde Homo sapiens sapiens didn't show up in Northern Europe until 16,000 years ago. And the DNA analysis and results of all of this, they're tracking DNA and, around the world and how everybody merged on the continents and so forth. Well, anyway, 16,000 years ago. And I find that very interesting, right? No blondes in Northern Europe. And this was in Siberia. Now, let's go back to this Nordic question, right? Wait a minute, just showed up here 16,000 years ago. Could that been a visit, right? Could that been a visit? Could the Nordics have stepped off and had congregation, right? And suddenly blonde hair is introduced into Siberia and Northern Europe? It's very interesting to me. Very interesting. 16,000 years ago. You would have thought it would have been before that. But
you would have thought, based off the information that we have, absolutely. That is really bizarre. But I mean, if you look at history altogether, it's very hard to grasp all the little bits and pieces when so much of it has been lost, that we're kind of like just barely picking at the surface of what really could have happened that many years ago.
And
so hard to say.
Well, and there's another piece to this. Now, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and make a suggestion. But this is what I see. When I look at the Nordics and the way that they're represented, their smooth skin, right? No beard, right? You know, I've got my little thing that I like. But
it's okay, me too.
30 hours, maybe that. Well, anyway, so... But smooth
5 o'clock shadow going.
yeah, I noticed it in the high def. The appearance of the Nordics. Well, when you look at Homo sapiens sapien, when you look at us, we have no hair on our bodies, right? Nothing on our back, our chest. We don't have fur, right? Now you look at Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon. That's a different appearance. Us. It just doesn't make any sense, right? That we have to wear clothes. We can't survive out in the open. We can't. It doesn't matter if it's in the sun or in the shade. We need clothes. We need shelter. And isn't that the appearance of the Nordics, right? Smooth, no hair. And for some reason, Homo sapiens sapien, when everything else on this planet's got fur, right? All the everything has got dogs, right? Cats, everything's got fur. You got to stay warm. We just appeared with nothing. We had to wear clothes from the word go. Just like the Nordics, right? Is there a connection here? You have to just go with your gut. It's too much of a coincidence. We're the only species on this planet that just appeared that suddenly didn't need anything. And our fingernails and the way things grow and on certain, but doesn't grow anywhere else. It's just really, really, really strange. So yeah,
so then, the connection. So then what are your thoughts on Darwinism? Do you believe that?
There are there's problems with it, certainly. And the reason why there's problems with it, we can look at us, right? Okay, so there's nothing in the fossil record. There isn't anything that shows us evolving into us in the fossil record. Maybe it'll show up someday, but right now it just isn't there, right? The missing link. So there's that part. The other part where Darwinism, for me, falls apart. If we go back to all of the great extinction events that you've talked about, after each one of those events, we populated this planet instantly. Tens of thousands of species popping all at the same time, filling up all the niches, every little part of nature and everything. It's just like overnight. Darwinism takes tens of millions, 100 million years to go through those stages. And we don't have evidence of that after each extinction period. Here on this planet, for some reason, we just can't stop life. We can't stop it. And it pops up, and these species are already there and already complete. So, yeah, I know it's going to upset some people, but I just have to look at the facts, and I just have a hard time understanding how, a few thousand years after an extinction event, everything is back. And everything is it's different, new species, new, right? Like us. it's crazy. So I have issues with Darwinism.
And especially for those that do a lot more research in ancient knowledge, right, about aliens and things like this, it becomes even more difficult to believe Darwinism for people that have just really tried to understand what's really going on. What I also find pretty interesting about the Nordics is like I said earlier, they are very similar looking to the humans on Earth. And even if they were to walk amongst a crowd here on Earth, no one would give them a second glance, if not more than for the sake of their beauty, stature, and their piercing eyes. And I find that incredibly interesting and kind of weird. I'm like, if I were to see someone like that, do you think I would stop them and ask, are you human or what are you really? And if I did, what would their response be? Yeah, I'm human. Or actually, how did you notice? There's so many variables and what ifs that it would be interesting to go ahead and try to stop one and see what their response would be.
Do you find yourself, well, I'm going to make the chat room laugh right now. Do you find yourself looking at people in public to see if they're Nordic-ish?
Well, I wouldn't say Nordic-ish, but I stare at everyone every single day when I go out. I squint and I say, what are you really? I mean, you could be anything.
Yeah, but do you find yourself doing that? I do.
Not with the Nordic mentality, but if I do see certain features that kind of stand out a little bit, I definitely do question it. And I'm like, But I don't have the guts yet to go ahead and confront them and say, so, sir or ma'am, what are you really? Could you imagine? Then the men in black would be right behind me and chasing me down.
I find myself, because of the descriptions of and the warning signs, right, of not only the hybrids and what to look for, but if they're walking among us and allegedly being able to blend in, right, where you wouldn't necessarily know, and that they can walk among us and you wouldn't even know it, that I find really intriguing. So,
and now more than ever, it's easier for them because everyone's on their cell phones and they walk with their phones in their hands. So they're probably super happy that we have the internet these days.
Do you stare at your phone too much?
I try not to.
When you're,
but I do work on my phone.
Are you one of those in public? I was walking. I was going through an airport. It doesn't matter which one. I've been in a lot of airports lately, and I'm walking, and everybody knows how to walk while looking at their phones
and not bump into anything. That's kind of awesome.
Bump into anybody. They've got this the DNA's been altered, right? They've got this 360-degree radar system that is now part of the DNA, and you are able to just walk and look at your phone and be aware of your surroundings. I don't do that. I would rather watch and laugh, point and laugh. It's incredible to me today. This change in habits. Everybody walks and stares at their phones. It's pretty nutty. So yeah, you're right. The Nordics would get away with it. So you haven't. There was I'm not totally 100% on the conference, but I know the area, and it was in the Northeast. And so there's a UFO conference going on, and I think Travis was there. I think I talked to Travis about this. Well, anyway, so the conference is going on. I believe it was about 100 people.
Nice.
And this family of aliens comes in.
No.
They had, you can check this out. Anybody in the chat room, pop this up and share the information with everybody else. They'll pop it up. I believe they had pale blue skin. Faces, the kids, the mom, the dad, and I believe, now I think it was 3 adults and 2 kids. I think there was 5. And the 2 adults, mom and dad, and then like a 16-year-old son, and then a couple of little pipsqueaks, all with light pale blue skin, came in and listened to Travis speak, and caused a little bit of a commotion, as you can imagine, at this conference. And they got up and left. A couple of people followed them out, and I believe they just got in a car and drove away. And that happened it was about 10 years ago.
But I mean, it's also pretty popular to go in costumes or in cosplay at these UFO conventions as well. I mean, could that have been a possible explanation that maybe they just painted their skin light blue?
I've talked to many people that were there, and that's one of the obvious things, right? That I would think. And I asked, everybody said they had pale blue skin. They were acting strange. They didn't speak to anybody. I believe Dad spoke to somebody or acknowledged somebody there that tried to speak to them. I think the 16-year-old went. I could have all of this wrong, but I think he went and got a glass of water or something in the back of I believe, and somebody might have interacted with him. But other than that, quirky moves, acted really strange, didn't mingle, listened to Travis, and split.
Well, I mean, if we're going to believe that these entities, really, these people or whatever they are, really were aliens, we could then look at in history and look at Hinduism, look at Shiva and Vishnu, right? They had bluish looking skin, and some of them believe these beings to be the Arcturians. Did I say that right? Arcturians?
Yes.
Right? Because these entities also have kind of bluish skin. Do you think maybe at the conference they could have been maybe a descendant of these, maybe even hybrids?
Now, somebody says green kids.
Green kids.
Were they green? I believe, I thought that they were pale blue. But okay, now let's look at a little bit of history here. Not only in India, where these gods had different skin color but looked like us, but if you go to the walls in Egypt, and look at the original paint, where they had different colors of skin, and green, blue. I think there might be a yellow, and
like a yellow olive color. Yeah.
And I always brought that up, and then William Henry and others that know a lot about Egypt said that Egyptologists, those were very specific gods that were only represented in those colors. I'm like, are you going to stop right there and just buy that story? I look at that and I see something totally different. Now, the dogma may repeat itself over the years, and that this is a very specific god, always in that color. Well, of course, right? If it is somebody visiting this planet, and is an extraterrestrial civilization from somewhere else, well, of course, that would be represented as one specific god with that specific skin color, whether it's pale blue or pale green, and pale that off olive yellowish color. Why? I mean, that just makes sense to me. It's been there throughout history. But now let's go back to the Nordics for a second. Why? The question is this: why would they be mingling? Why would they be merging into our society? What is the reason for that?
I mean,
Why?
they could maybe just be possible observers. I mean, it's the same way. Why do humans go to the zoo? Why do we look at all of these different animals and take notes, take pictures, and try to interact with them? Maybe it's a possible observation. Maybe it's just a pastime or anything else. It's hard to answer.
Oh, okay. All right. I like your kinder, gentler view of the world.
What are you going to say, Jimmy?
But what? Okay, so what if it's this?
Okay.
What if we wake up one day and we look around and we go, man, humans are gone, right? and they snuck up on us and just took over the planet.
They went chop chop.
What? Yes, they chop. I mean, it's an interesting take on this.
So like infiltrators.
Well, Marshall Summers, and he's pretty fascinating. He's controversial, but he has certainly got a lot of people out there interested in his worldview when it comes to this subject.
Okay.
And one of the things that he says, one of many, is that they're not our friends. They are here to slowly change the atmosphere, change the mix of yes, change the atmosphere so that the planet is perfect for them when they do the final takeover, that they do have problems breathing our nitrogen oxygen mix. It's not good for them. And they are slowly changing the planet, and we are seeing those changes now.
That's a really interesting take. And I feel like it definitely contradicts the thought of the contactees or experiencers that do interact with these Nordics feeling that sense of unconditional love. Do you think then that's a possible, just a masking, like a fake love?
Yeah, right. They're not your friends, man. They're not your friends. Okay, this is from NS. Search the Fugates from Kentucky, Cristina. They were blue-skinned. Maybe that's the conference. Okay. See, obviously, NS thinks that Cristina knows how to search the internet on her interbox, and I don't. See, she didn't say Jimmy, but I thought it was up in the Northeast, though. I thought it was. I was thinking New York or Connecticut. I didn't think it was Kentucky. So
I think this is a different story, because there is another similar story of these people that are actually people that have some kind of skin disease, and their skin is blue.
Oh, really?
Right. Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, NS, please do, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's referring to. Maybe because it had they have translucent skin or something like that, because we know that our blood's actually blue until it touches oxygen, blue purple.
Right. Now, and I know that we talked about this before, but when we're talking about the Nordics specifically, if they can visit us, and I want to be very clear here, if they can, we're not, as far as we know, we're not leaving this planet, going to another planet and visiting somebody else.
Yet.
Right? Okay, yet.
That'd be exciting.
Allegedly. Okay, so
gotta go talk to Jeff Bezos right now.
Yeah, right. He's got a plan. Blue origins. Oh, so anyway, if they have the technology to get here, then I would naturally assume that they have the ability to change their appearance.
Okay.
And what is appealing to us? Well, I just said the Nordics are easy on the eyes, right? Easy on the eyes. Just maybe they're changing themselves just enough, because what if they had 10 fingers, 10 toes, 2 arms, right? 2 eyes, but they had snake skin, right? I would lose my mind. I wouldn't be cool with that. So maybe they are able to just change their appearance. And like I said, nobody finds the Nordics offensive. Is that a clever way of integrating not only on Earth, but communicating with us so we don't freak out? It's pretty interesting. Have you seen the TV show Resident Alien?
Yes. Okay. I really enjoyed that show so much. I laughed throughout the series.
Great show. It's a great show. And it's funny, adult humor. It's dark in places for sure.
Oh yeah.
When your goal is to kill a 5-year-old boy, right?
Oof, dang.
Yeah.
But he also used that technique of infiltration, right? And like
changed his appearance, and only the little boy could see him. I forget his name, but he's great. And I hear it's coming back for season 2. But when you see a show like that obviously somebody is doing their research. Giorgio Tsoukalos was on an episode, right?
He was so funny in it.
Yeah, he's in a couple of episodes. And but they've obviously done their research. They had a character based on Daryl Sims, right? The alien hunter. That was another great episode. But they've done their research into this community. They know the terminology. They know what to look for. And the storyline is there and complete. But you also have to ask yourself, is this based on something else? You know, yes, there is the urban legend and the folklore of the UFO community, but it's also not far removed from how society deals with people that look different and how we would react to somebody that didn't look like us. And I thought that was a pretty good social commentary. And I have to step back and say that's probably how it would have to be. Any ET that is on his way here or her is studying us, and they know our habits, they know our fears, they know our likes, and they know our languages, and they know everything about us. They've had all the time in the world to study, and they're going to come here prepared. And it would be very close to the way that Resident Alien is written.
100%. And there are quite a other few TV shows as well. And I'm happy that Zofa mentioned Invader Zim. Have you seen that? It's a cartoon from the earlier 2000s.
I love that show. Invader Zim is great.
I'm happy you watched it. It is amazing. And it's very similar to Resident Alien. Of course, it's made for children, and he brings a pet, which is a robot, turns into a dog, blah, blah, blah. But this is even being fed to kids. So you have a TV show for adults to come and understand the topic, and then you have it for children as well. Like, what is the purpose of these TV shows?
Well, obviously, do I have to say it out loud?
Please.
And well, you start young. Start them young. And if we look at something like Invader Zim, or my favorite show today, Rick and Morty, which also Rick and Morty touches on all, just like Invader Zim, by the way. Invader Zim, if you follow the storyline, the things that are said, yep. Invader Zim could have been on Fade to Black any night of the week. It would have been a great show. And
it's awesome.
Yeah. And the same thing with Rick and Morty.
I've never seen it.
Oh, man.
Because he dresses up.
Where's the mute button? I got to mute.
Too late. No, too late. You're staying here. But
Rick and Morty, another cartoon, it's for adults, adult languages, adult themes, and adults. But it's time travel. It's portals to dimensions. It's aliens. It's the government. It's secrets. and a ton of science and a ton of physics all spun into this. Rick Sanchez, the dad, is the smartest man in the universe. He's a scientist. But all of these complex things are thrown in there. Again, start them young. If I go back to the things that I watched, which was
like G.I. Joe.
No, man, you had to go there. But it was 30 years before you were born. Okay, 30 years. But if we go back to 1969, 68, 69, 1970, 1971, right in there where I'm 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. Okay. The shows that I watched, Lost in Space, right? Star Trek, Space 1999, UFO. Those 4 shows were showing kids all of these fascinating subjects about the universe, about planets, about different alien races, how we would interact with them, what to do, what not to do, how to stay cautious, suggesting all of these things at a very young age. So I grew up with Lost in Space, and I pretty much know how to deal with ET when it gets here from that, just like Invader Zim. Invader Zim did the exact same thing for another generation.
It's definitely amazing what a TV shows can actually teach you. I read a story about this woman who was drunk and she used to watch like Grey's Anatomy, and she wasn't even a doctor, but was able to help someone when they broke their arm because she had watched the show and she had learned unconsciously how to help people. So no matter what show we're watching, somehow it just gets stored back, just way back in your brain. Maybe at one point you're going to use the information in one way or another.
Well, now the ability, not only with Invader Zim, because I love that show, by the way. I loved Invader Zim.
I'm so happy you do. It's so good.
Look, I went through, I don't want to lose my thought here, but my daughters are 26 years old. Okay, so that means I went through all of that stuff on Cartoon Network, Johnny Bravo, and then the Powerpuff Girls, and
all good shows.
Yeah, all those great cartoons, and right up to Dexter's Laboratory. How great of a cartoon was that? And including Invader Zim. So I went through all of that. But one of the things that all of these shows teach us today and going back is that we are all different. And if you're going to meet a being on their planet, or they're going to come here and not to freak out, right? And that's nobody, cut and ran, started shooting. No, it was always about acceptance, no matter what you look like. And I think that's really cool. Did you ever watch Galaxy Quest? I told you to go and watch it.
So,
because this is exactly what we are talking about now. So with the Nordics, with the tall whites, in Galaxy Quest, you meet these aliens, right? These ETs, but at one point on the ship, Tim Allen and Sigourney Weaver and the crew, they come in without their shape-shifting switches on. So they come in and they're crazy. Right? Crazy. Funny too. It's funny. But and they freak out. Everybody's screaming and they go, "Oh, we forgot to," and then they hit the button and what are they? Tall Nordics. Well, in this case, it was black hair. But right? And they changed their appearance and everybody calmed down. Could that be who the Nordics are? Or maybe the Nordics are just the Nordics. Maybe they are just us. Maybe they look exactly the same, and they brought us here, and they're doing their drive-by and their checkups to make sure that we're behaving and developing in a good way. I'm okay
doing what we're told. I will definitely, I promise I will watch Galaxy Quest this week. I watched the trailer. That's as far as I got, but I will watch it just for you.
All right, good enough. Well, do you consider the Nordics and the tall whites intruders? Are they invaders?
I haven't met one. I haven't asked the question, nor have I done a crazy amount of research to be able to decipher if I think that they're intruders or not. All I know, allegedly, is that they're coming and they're visiting here, and the people that do encounter these beings truly feel like they're getting unconditional love from them. That these beings say that they are just our friends, our family. So it's kind of hard to answer that right now.
But you're okay with a visit?
Well, look, they could, like you said earlier, they really could be lizards under the skin, like on the TV show V. Okay, they really could be. We simply don't know, and they could be fooling us this whole time until the very last second, like you said. I guess we won't know until that moment happens. Right now, we're just living in oblivion, in ignorance.
There's another great documentary. You need to write this one down too. It's called They Live. And
I've seen it. I love it.
Well, it's exactly what we're talking about here. It's exactly, to change your appearance so you don't freak us out. He puts on Roddy Piper, right? Puts on the glasses, see what's really going on, and loses his mind and freaks out and realizes that just about everybody walking around on the street is one of them. They live. I always, it's a great movie. I've seen it so many times.
And there's so many different I wouldn't say different takes, but kind of different opinions on that movie. Some think it's really aliens, but some think it's more of a mind control. Like people are just being like everyone else because they're doing as they're told. So I really enjoyed that movie when I watched it so many times growing up.
They live. They Live is a documentary. I think that, and I say that in jest, sort of. It is so not only so well written, and of course this theme has been done before, but John Carpenter's take on it and the way that it is done, it causes you to step back and kind of look around the world with squinty eyes and think to yourself, is this possible? And just when you think, not really, then you've got these stories about the tall whites. You've got Charles Hall and his encounters out there in Nevada in the desert. And you've got George Van Tassel. This goes back a long ways. This isn't anything that is new. And is it possible? There are so many reports. I don't want to say that the world is a hybrid world, but because that scares me. But there's just way too much now to listen to when it comes to this subject about the integration into our society. Is it a takeover of the world? Is there something else, like what David Jacobs talks about, or Marshall Summers, and some of their reports and books talks about? I don't want it to be that kind of place, but then I go and meet some of your generation, right? Somebody that's 20 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old, and tells me that they're alien, tells me that they're ET, that they were brought here. We had on Fade to Black, I'm trying to think of her name. I met her at a conference, which came later. She called into the show. And then I ended up, I think she called in a couple of times. Then I had her on as a guest. And it was a pretty interesting show. Somebody pop up her name for me. And Deb from Sacramento's in here. Deb, what was the young girl, the ET that used to come on the show? Just pop that up and so then I met her in person at a conference, and I got to hang out with her.
Is this the one from Sedona?
No,
never mind.
No. She was from here in Southern California, and somebody put her name in there. Come on. Okay, I'm not going to waste time. We're almost out of time. But there are many in this generation that is around us right now that speak about this directly. Are they changing their appearance? I've seen, these.
I've seen a few.
Yeah,
Mhm.
these
They
big,
like get rid of their belly buttons. They dye their eyes. They tattoo their eyes. They
Yes.
get rid of like certain parts of their body.
Yeah.
It's pretty extreme.
Yes, it is extreme. And are they ET? Are they? Or is there something else psychologically that's going on? Are they doing it for fun? I don't know, but it's fascinating to me to see this going on with your generation. I haven't seen anybody my age changing their appearance, but they are able to, their faces and the way that their chins and the eyes and
they add little horns. I mean, look,
I've seen that too. Yes, I've seen that too.
It's something that I try not to think about too much. I won't lie to you, because it is a different kind of rabbit hole you're going to jump into on this kind of subject as a whole.
Now, what do you do? What's your advice to the world if somebody comes on television and says, "Hi, I'm Ming and this is Ling and we're from the planet Xandu and we're here to take over. It's all true." Right? And what do you do? What's your advice?
There's a lot of speculate. I mean, look, I would have so much speculation on that. And I would think, really? I mean, there have already been so many people that have gone out there and said, "Oh, I'm an alien," and they're not. Or even what? Okay, look, let's put it this way. If you have a really big secret, okay, you're not going to go out and tell the world you have a really big secret. You're going to keep it to yourself. The people that are quiet are the ones that you should look out for more than those that run their mouth and scream really loud. That's my take on it. So for someone to say I'm an alien, I'll be like, okay, that's nice. Carry on with your day.
Now, what if somebody comes up to you, Cristina?
Okay.
Says,
I'd be scared already.
I want to show you something. And they take you by the hand.
No, I'll make sure I'm carrying.
Hold on. and then you turn and face them and they go full reptilian. Do you come on Mysteries with a History and say, "I saw somebody shapeshift last night"? Or do you keep that to yourself?
That's a good one. If I'm able to maybe pull off a scale from them real quick or somehow get a piece of evidence, then I would talk about it. However, if there's no evidence that I can go ahead and present to the public, I would keep it to myself until I can find something that can convince others, because I'm the exact same way. Anyone can tell me a story and I'll be like, yeah, that's cool, like awesome. But until there is some kind of tangible evidence, it's only going to be cool story, bro. It's not going to be like, oh my goodness.
Right. Well, you
write it in a newspaper.
You saw your biological ET in the sky, right? You told me the story yourself.
No, I didn't see my biological UFO in the sky, but I did see a craft that wasn't fully nuts and bolts and somewhat organic.
Yeah, organic. Your organic ET in the sky. Okay, so, but that's just a story.
Exactly, and that's why I do not talk about it.
But well, you didn't have the evidence, but I got it out of you. So again, I ask you. Somebody shapeshifts right in front of you and says, "Look, I'm just going to show you, man. ETs are real." Reptilian face, and with the blinking eyes, it's frigging resident alien.
Dude,
do you tell the world or do you keep that to yourself? I think you tell the world.
Look, if I don't have evidence, I wouldn't bring it up, because then you would be classified. as someone that no one really wants to interact with.
It's the most important thing you can tell the world.
Yeah, aliens are real. I mean, we've had countless abductees, experiencers go ahead and bring this up, and yet we're still having this conversation today. It's still been 70 years of getting some kind of disclosure for the whole world to believe that aliens are real. So I'll just be another person into that little kettle of fish.
But back to my point. So now you have an opportunity. You are the new fresh face of ufology. Right.
Hello.
And wouldn't you feel an obligation to all of those experiencers out there that have spoken and have been ridiculed, that you could use your platform to come on the air and say, hey, I saw something last night. I saw a shapeshifter. Everybody out there that's been talking about this, look, I will listen to all of you now because I have my experience and I'm here to support everybody. I saw what I saw. I can't prove it, but I saw it. And I think that's an obligation. I think that is something that you should think about in the future because, Cristina, it's going to happen. Shapeshift. Whoo! It's going to happen to you. It's going to happen. You're going to have to come out of the closet.
Look, well, not even my parents know, but it's something that I would really have to think about. Look, if I see something like this, it's a huge paradigm shift and it would 100% shake my reality. I would definitely have to process my sighting altogether. I mean, if it happened that instantaneously, if I didn't get a little warning of this guy grabbing my hand and being like, hey, I want to let you know, blah, 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 I'm an alien. But if he just shows up, whapa,
yes,
bro.
Yeah, bro. And see, this is the thing. I had something happen in my bedroom back in 1995. Okay, I was living alone. Not going to get into the story. Everybody's heard it. But I didn't tell anybody for like 10 years. 10 years, I kept that to myself.
Which is common.
10 years, I slept with the lights on and the TVs on and took what was already an obsession with UFO research that went to another level. But I didn't tell anybody for 10 years. And even then, I was just testing the waters to see how people would react. And I'm still not even sure what it was that I saw. I can only share the experience and what I thought was going down at that time. But I didn't tell anybody for 10 years. I did not like call in sick to work. I had an alien in my bedroom last night, man. I can't come in today. No.
That's worse than saying my dog ate my homework.
I was terrified. I was terrified. And I will never forget, Cristina, I went through, after everything went down, I walked through my condo and turned on every light in every room, bathrooms, kitchen, TVs are on, and they didn't get turned off. Ever.
That electricity bill must have been super high.
Man.
Well, I quickly want to say thank you so much, Max, for the €5. So awesome. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, $5 euro. What's that American? Like $50? Sorry about that, Canada. Sorry about that, Europe.
You know, I'm still getting bullied for saying the capital of Canada wrong. To this day, and it's been a week. And people are like, why are you saying Ottawa? It's Ottawa. And I'm like, okay, guys, I get it. I made a mistake. It
was awesome. It was awesome. We all do it. Cristina, thank you so much. Another great episode. And I can't wait for another invite. And hopefully it's about something that I know it'll be something I can comment on.
Well, which you always do. Before you go ahead and head out from here, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the show for a little bit longer. If you wanted to stay, you definitely can. But if you don't, can you tell everyone where they can find you and who's going to be on your show today?
Tonight is Mark Sims. He is, if you don't know about Mark is one of the OG internet pioneers. Not only with the internet, but with software and security. going back to the beginning of the internet. And he is now an experiencer. He's an investor. He's a serial entrepreneur. He wants to go and do things, but he's an experiencer. So tonight we're going to talk about UFOs, contact, ET, and the internet and social media from somebody that is dealing with both on a daily basis. And he's a mover and a shaker. So that's tomorrow night. That's tonight. Tomorrow night is Peter Robbins. Got Peter Robbins on tomorrow night. That'll be another great show. And then of course Thursday night is Fader night, and you'll be hanging out with us. So
of course.
And thank you, Cristina. Thank you for having me. You guys are the best. Everybody in the chat room, keep causing trouble. Look at that. 20 euros. 20 euros. That's like $250 American.
No, that's $20. You're so funny, John. Not John, Jimmy. You're both making me laugh. I'm reading and I can't speak.
I go by John a lot. Everybody out there, thank you so much. We'll see you tonight on Fade to Black. Cristina, don't go changing and go cause some trouble. All right?
Right back at you. I'll see you later in Fade to Black.
Bye, Cristina.
For anyone who is not subscribed to his channel or even listen to him on the radio, you're missing out. He has fantastic guests 3 times a week. So I'm telling you, if you don't know who this guy is, if you don't watch his shows, please, you are missing out, and go subscribe to them. So Deborah, thank you so much for the 20. She says, Cristina, girl's name was Deet. Great show, guys. You're always so sweet. Thank you so much. And John, thank you again for the 20. He says, great show as usual, Cristina. Thank you. Any new updates on the news drop that Elizondo talked about? And have you seen the video where James Woodsley talked the jet plane that was paused in midair during flight? So I am talking with Lou Elizondo about coming on my show this month, and that's all I can say for now, John. That's all I can say for now, but that could change in the near future. Now, as for the James Woodsley, I haven't seen the video on that, at least not yet, but I will probably be looking at it now when this show is over, because that sounds pretty darn interesting. And hold on. Oh, well, I lost it. So there are still a few races I wanted to go over, and we won't make it too long, but we talked about the Nordics and a little bit about the Arcturians, but there are still a few more that look very, very human, and one of them being the Pleiadians. So one particular human-like species of Nordic-looking aliens is the race known commonly as the Pleiadians. So the aliens of the Pleiadian types are categorized by having round faces and being tall and lean figures, with the rest of their features being handsome or beautiful. And like Jimmy has said, when it comes to these kinds of entities, it's so pleasing to the eye when things that aren't necessarily human look nice. The same way when you're going to a restaurant, okay? And this has been tested. If there's a food that has all the exact same recipes, it's cooked the exact same, but it looks nasty, maybe it's like brown in color or the presentation is bad, and you have another food, again, the exact same as the previous one, but it has beautiful presentation, that beautiful one is going to taste better than the one that looks ugly. Even though they are the exact same recipe, everything is the same minus the presentation, there's a difference in the mind. The mind says, no, the one that looks nice, it just really hits me better. Like, it just tastes better. And there isn't really a good explanation for that. Like, when I say good explanation, I mean there shouldn't be any reasoning behind it. So these beings, they can come ahead, walk on Earth, we wouldn't really notice it. If anything, we're like, damn, they look nice. I wonder if they're on Tinder. That's the thing that's going to go through people's minds, is things like this. So the overall appearance of the Pleiadians is a very, very pleasant one, okay? According to many accounts, of encounters with these species, they're considered to be very gentle and peace-loving by nature. Again, with these human-like races, they're classified as being gentle and peace-loving. And yet again, it goes into the possible question, could that be just a masking feeling of like, well, maybe they really are infiltrators. Maybe they really are wanting to conquer the world, but they're going to give off this very pleasant feeling off of them. And that's what attracts us to other people or to maybe these entities. We like to feel accepted. Humans like to feel appreciated, loved, and overall, we can tell, regardless of if you're a meditator or a practitioner of anything, you can just feel when someone's angry. Your sixth sense kicks in, and you can just feel when someone might just have malintents, right? Intentions, and you're gonna avoid that person. So if these aliens had these like awful energies vibrating off of them, but be like being evil and wanting to conquer the world, one, we wouldn't listen to them, and two, we would avoid them at all costs. It would be like, no way. But if they have a nice feeling, right, you would be like, oh, I trust them. They seem really nice. It's exactly like that. So according to the contactee, experiencer, and abductee witness reports, one of the major differences between them and Earth humans is that they are particularly sensitive to the psychic energies that are constantly streaming out from the minds of people, because we know our minds, at least as humans, are so noisy. They're so loud. We think about things 24/7 and our brain never stops. Okay, so for these beings that can go ahead and kind of like read our thoughts in a way, it's probably exhausting. NP, thank you so much for the super sticker. Woohoo! Thank you. Also, it is said that these Pleiadians, if you want to go ahead and have contact with them, you simply just need to apply meditation. And it says here, put simply, if you want to meet with a Pleiadian for a drink and just sit down for a cup of tea, go ahead and meditate on it. It is believed that people that encounter these beings can do so through meditation, through a quiet mind. And I found that really interesting, and many people could connect that with CE5, which we've covered quite a few times here on this show, on my thoughts on CE5. But it seems like with the Pleiadians, based off of what certain contactees are saying, you can go ahead and meditate on them and they might appear to you. Missy C, thank you so much for the super sticker. You are so sweet, and for always supporting me. I really, really appreciate it. Now, this with the Pleiadians and kind of more of these human-looking aliens, it can sound very woo-woo, but again, this topic, it's all composed of anecdotal reports and information that I have pulled information from these types of aliens from a wide variety of online sources. So you can make of it what you will and agree or disagree with the information that I have found. As for the planets of origin, it is believed, just like with the Nordics and the Pleiadians, their home planet is supposed to be a lot like our planet in size, gravity, continents, and ecosystems. I was like, whoa, I guess there's not just one Earth out there. There's a bunch of Earths, which have been believed with math that is incredibly possible. Now, I'm really excited to talk about this next alien species or race, because there are allegedly different types of Sirians in witness reports. Sirians, I think I said that right. But one of them that I want to talk about specifically is the Titan Sirian. So the Titan Sirians are from Sirius B, which is a white dwarf in the Canis Major star constellation. And let me go ahead and pull up a picture really quick. It'll look like this. Okay. So they kind of look like this. So they're supposed to be 8 to 10 feet tall. Their appearance is odd because they have a very elongated head, just like how it's shown in the picture, right? And it extends down to a very, very thin chin. And their eyes, which is again very interesting, how all of these talk about their eyes, are classified as large, wide, and resembling bright blue jewels. Here's what I find really interesting when it comes to eyes. We know amongst humans, amongst ourselves, there's a saying that goes, the eyes are the gateway to the soul. You can look at someone's eyes and you can tell kind of if they're lying. You can kind of tell their intent, this, that, and the other. And so it's interesting for these people that allegedly have these encounters with these aliens. They look at them in the eyes and they can go ahead and classify what they look like, big, small. And a lot of the times they represent them as bright blue jewels, meaning that they're possibly beautiful or maybe even hypnotizing. Max says, thank you again for the 10 euros. He said, what alien race do you believe to be real and has made contact with humans? So, I'm still on the fence with what I believe, but there are all kinds of reports. I think the Greys are a possible real race, right? Again, there are so many stories, there are so many reports. I haven't done a sufficient amount of research yet to go ahead and really stick to my opinion and like put it on paper and say, yes, Cristina Gomez believes in this. It's changing every day, and I can't fully say just yet what I believe. Now, with these Pleiadians, okay, again, if we're going into the more woo-woo literature on these aliens, it said that the Titan Sirians are of one consciousness. Oh, and also, Max, thank you so much for the question. It was a good question. It really was. So, these Sirians are believed that they are of one consciousness, of the universal community, representing the unity of all species and all life, all coming from one source. Keep that in mind. It's going to make more sense as we go along with this segment. So just remember that while we keep going. So curiously, there is a tribe in Africa known as the Dogon, right? So they have a creation story that talks about them having interactions in Genesis via gods from a planet orbiting the star Sirius B, being called the Nomons. I gotta say that really, really slowly because I was like, I'm saying nom nom. And it's not what that is. So, according to the Dogon legend, the Nomons landed on Earth in an ark that made a spinning descendant to the ground with great noise and wind. It was the Nomons that gave the Dogon the knowledge about Sirius B that wasn't actually officially confirmed by astronomers until 1862. And if we look back, in most tribes in Africa, which are very, very small villages, they don't have access to a lot of books or the internet. So and this is even before 1862. Okay, guys. So the fact that they were able to know anything about Sirius B is incredibly interesting and something that would make you really question how did they get that information. Okay, so were the Nomons the same as other Sirians mentioned by contactees and experiencers? Because the Nomons and the Sirians that we have talked about both come from Sirius B. So are they the same or somewhat different? We simply don't know. We don't know. Just that they are supposed to be very similar to human in appearances. So, Sirius A and Sirius B, a binary star system with two white stars orbiting each other. It would lead me to the question, what kind of exoplanets could be caught up in these orbits? Okay. It has been speculated by astrophysicists that up to 85% of stars are in a binary system. 85%, including famous stars, including Sirius, Spica, Regal, and Alpha Centauri. And it's now known that stable planetary orbits are in the norm in such instances. And here is why this whole race is interesting. Because, right, I mean, I had to give you a little bit of a background, but let me just share the next picture with you and hopefully will spark some interest. So here we have Pharaoh Akhenaten, okay? He is a very, very famous Egyptian pharaoh, and we're going to go into why for those that might not know. And the question is, was he Assyrian? Is he somehow connected to this race, or is he one altogether? Extraterrestrial theorists suggest that Pharaoh Akhenaten of the 18th dynasty is a hybrid with Sirius B DNA. Okay, so Syrian genetics could have been injected into the embryo, which is really, really interesting. And here's why they think that. Well, that might explain why Akhenaten looked very extraterrestrial. If you can see him right here, he has a very elongated face, a very, very tiny looking chin, and his head was ginormous. But with all the statues that were created of him, he's always wearing a hat, maybe to cover up that head because it looked too odd. But this guy, okay, he shook up the foundation of Egyptian religion by erasing all the different gods of worship and tuned their thinking to a singular god. Now, if we go back to what I just mentioned about more of the kind of woo-woo literature on these aliens, it is said that Titan Sirians are of one consciousness, of the universal community, okay, representing the unity of all species and all life, all coming from one source. So if you believe, so what I'm getting at is if you have all these different gods, you're not getting one source. You're getting multiple different sources. You're getting kind of confused on which god does what, and they do all these different things. Pharaoh Akhenaten wiped out all of the gods, and he said, no, there is only one God that we should worship. And that's a big reason to why extraterrestrial theorists might possibly believe that he himself was an extraterrestrial, or he could have had kind of a tip off. Here is a statue of his daughter's head, because she didn't wear a hat, right? Because she wasn't a pharaoh. And if you can tell, it's elongated, which is not common amongst humans. Humans do not have long heads like it is here. And that's why I find this specific section so exciting, because you kind of have evidence right here. You get to see statues of Pharaoh Akhenaten. You get to see his daughter with her incredibly elongated head. That doesn't make sense. Why would an artist want to make someone's head that big? Like, there would have to be a reason behind it. Either he's copying it exactly, or maybe he's complimenting her for her big brain, or possibly insulting her for one reason or another. There could be so many possible opinions on this, but if you look at it from this standpoint, from what extraterrestrial theorists think, it just simply makes a little bit more sense than the artist having creative freedom to go ahead and do this to the daughter of the pharaoh. It's just kind of odd. The last one I want to go ahead and mention, and we're not going to go too deep into it because there's so many little facets to this last race we're going to mention, and that is the Anunnaki. Now, this one is it's like so famous next to the alien greys, the Anunnaki. And I'm just going to go ahead and, like I said, just briefly go over it. So the ancient Sumerians used to worship the Anunnaki as their god. The Anunnaki have since been speculated by a number of prominent ancient alien writers and researchers, such as Zachariah Sitchin and Eric von Daniken, to have been aliens that had set up a temporary outpost on the planet Earth in the middle in the Middle Eastern era around 4 or 5,000 years ago with the intention of genetically tinkering with and enslaving humans to carry out the mining of gold for them, and even more specifically, to get hold of refined monoatomic gold, which allegedly is used in their medical science, technologies, and also as what was needed in vast amounts to repair the atmosphere of their homeworld, Nibiru. This is something that a lot of people that research the alien topic might know about, have probably heard hundreds of thousands of times, but it's incredibly interesting. And there are so many facets on the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki aliens look almost exactly like humans, having more of a hooked shaped nose, being a little bit taller with an average height between 8 to 9 feet, with olive complexions and dark eyes. So they're not beautiful blue jewels or these hypnotizing eyes. They're classified as being black. The males wear their hair long in soft waves with long beards curled in rows, done to perfection. Females supposedly have long wavy hair and dress similar to Grecian goddesses. They are said to possess superhuman strength and have powerful mental presences. And here's an interesting thing on this. Have you ever wondered why gold is so valuable? I mean, yes, it's shiny, but it doesn't really do anything useful like heal the sick or produce any crazy amounts of energy. So, why do we as a species, us humans, desire gold so much? Well, apparently, again, this is all just alleged accounts. Apparently, it's ingrained in our genetics by the Anunnaki. We value it highly because the Anunnaki desired it. And while we were forced to go ahead and collect this gold for them, somehow in the back of our mind, we're thinking, if the Anunnaki love it, we should go ahead and love this gold as well. It must hold some kind of incredible value. But now we just use it for jewelry and statues and kind of just more as eye candy instead of maybe the things that they might use it for. A lot of things have been covered today in this show. I am truly happy that we finished up this season finale. It was a lot longer than I thought it would be. I truly thought it would have only been one show, but it took 3. It's been really awesome to have Jimmy Church as a co-host for all 3 shows. He brings aspects that I never could. He's interviewed hundreds of people. He has so much knowledge, and it's been such an honor to have him on my show these last 3 weeks, or these last 3 shows, should I say. And if you want to continue the discussion, please bring it to my Discord server as a topic for debate, and to also share knowledge and overall just have a good time. So everyone, I want to say thank you so much for joining me. Thank you as always to my wonderful Patreon supporters. This show wouldn't be possible without the kind supporters sticking with me on this journey. And for everyone that's given super chats, for everyone that's even just been interacting in the live, giving liking this video, subscribing to this channel as well. It's all very, very helpful for me. So again, I want to say thank you for joining me on the Alien Visitors finale. Remember to like, subscribe, and share it. And don't forget to keep your eyes on the skies.